the best estimates are the ones the contractor gives you when he bids it.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know, because then you know, and again, I don't want to use it as an excuse, but the market's so volatile. You know,
You're not telling us anything. I mean,
Yeah,
the garage was estimated by Barton and Judas to come in about 75,000, and the bid came out 203. The only bid we received, so we didn't award it. You know,
Right.
and hopefully that.
But that's something you could potentially do here, right? Because you guys are trying to balance, well, I'm gonna call them competing priorities, right? You know, how much we spend in Rickson versus how much we have to meet. I'm just trying to think of a path forward for you, and maybe that's one of the better ways to go.
I mean, throwing this out to you, possibly, because Macy Lane was sort of ahead in a sense that we could complete that project on Macy and then throw the rest on Rickson and hope and pray we have enough for both. Because that's another project. Or do you want to do them both at the same time?
Well, I guess there's a deadline though, right? You guys have
Yeah,
an
you gotta watch
obligation
the
to
time
second
for the
project.
deadline.
It's going to be obligated by the end of the year.
Yeah,
Well, you
okay.
can't wait that long or you're not gonna have the money.
And here's the thing, like, and I know you always like to do that. You're like, well, we can bring it up again, do this and bring it up again. The problem I find is I'm under the gun. We are really under the gun to get this stuff done and to get the ARPA money allocated. It don't have to be spent yet, but it does have to be allocated or you're gonna lose it.
So Trevor, you're working with Nancy, is
And-
Nancy working with you on ARPA?
Nancy
Or
has
Scott?
opened the folders. She's probably gonna need the updated information, this stuff.
Well, what I was
Okay.
gonna suggest is, and I'll check in the office tomorrow. I will admit I'm not an ARPA expert.
Yeah.
I have people who are, so I don't have to be.
Yeah.
And so, let me check with them, because one of the things is, since we are coming up on a deadline to allocate, the question is, okay, we're gonna allocate, I'm just making up numbers, you got 500,000, we're gonna put 100 to Richmond, put 400 to Mason, right? How much flexibility comes in those numbers once costs are known, right? So, if I gotta do some minor modifications, they really wanna know what you're spending the money on. In this case, you're spending on water improvements.
Yeah, which is the full corner box that they started with. Now that we decided to assume a $10 million loss in the town, you could spend it on paving if you wanted to. Not that I'm looking
Right, you
to
spend
dump
it
it all
on
on
it, right,
paving,
right.
but I'm
I
just saying, that opened the Pandora's
Right,
box.
right, for the
to-
lower
to-
amount, lower
for
water
any-
amounts.
Any town expenditure, pretty much.
Yeah. So, again, I'm just trying to see if there's a way to, like a logical path so you guys can make that final determination, you know? Because you're not gonna have all the information you need 100% by the end of the year. Right? I mean, it's just not gonna, you're gonna have to estimate it, and so we can help you do that, but anyway, it's just a suggestion.
So, when you were talking about 125 a foot, like Reggie referred to down at the county, that was installed price though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You're not talking about just 125 feet per foot of plastic pipe.
No, that was installed,
That's what I
plus,
thought.
but remember I had said plus.
Yeah,
It's
because you
plus
still got the
valves,
street
plus
connection,
hydrants,
yeah.
plus this, plus that,
Right,
you know, and then,
that's just to get the
And then-
main, yeah.
of course you have granular materials if you need them, like bedding and, you know, you certainly
Yeah.
need the pipe bedding, right? Backfill, you might be able to get away with what you have, but there's restoration costs and all those things too. So, that's all it's up.
Just go quick. I don't remember his name. Did you say there was one or two hydrants on Macy?
Oh, let me,
I know there's one there already at the very beginning.
right,
There's one there. But
I'm talking about the new, what
The new
what the
section.
new section would be, so let me just count off where one. Figures.
Are those still roughly every 600 feet?
Yeah, no more than 600 feet, so.
So that'll help with your
Maybe 600.
ISO.
the whole complete section's well over 1,200 feet.
Yeah, so I think it's 3, but let me just double check one.
But the standard is about every 600 feet.
Yeah.
Right,
When you're putting a new one.
right, for fire protection purposes in line. So this has 3. So the last one would be, at the intersection. Where we're
Where
making-
you come back around?
Yeah, when you come back around, that's where that last one will be.
Okay.
Right there, because then you can go either way
Yeah, either
with
way
your
around
hoses.
the loop.
Right.
Okay.
Which, like I said, that's a twofold thing because you're gonna get a ISO rating change.
Yeah.
So if you contact your insurance company, tell them now I got a hydrant within 500 feet, a municipal fire hydrant within 500 feet of my house, you get a deduction on that.
Okay. And that project, just to talk a little more about Macy Lane, that project is proposed to be all outside the pavement for the most part. Obviously we got some pavement sections we got to cross, roads and things, but, so there'll be some disruption to people's front yards, and as you go along, like the water project would be.
Clip handles, you can back off.
Oh, geez. So we also push drive, we're gonna cut driveways and things like that, but, for the most part, it's all off the shoulder and, shouldn't be a headache for traffic or anything like that. Except for where, again, at the P, at the intersection of the P, we got a couple road crossings that need to happen. So it's not too bad. So like I said, we're ready to send this for permitting. We'll send you the forms to sign. Get it over to the county health department, and then you guys, we have a spec book obviously that goes with this for Macy Lane. That was part of the contract documents. And once the town board decides scheduling and things like that, you put out the bid.
Yeah, and I'll get with you to see if we can't get a ballpark.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do a ballpark, just to give you an idea how you make nice.
That way
money.
we'll know on the funding side of things that we're staying within our budget.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I agree with Reg on that, we need to stay within what we're looking at,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and it's a push-pull kind of thing.
Yeah, because, originally we were looking about maybe the high side, 175 over there, so that's probably changed a lot.
That's changed a lot, absolutely. And that could come into play too, I'm not to belabor the point, but, that may come into play with Trudeau, right? How you handle Rixon, depending on how much money is, like, say we got the price for.
Yeah, and I'll just leave that alone, but there's some give and take there too that I talked about.
Yeah, well, so you just have to let me know.
Until I get it in writing, I wouldn't dare say it here, but
Yeah.
there's some money cost savings that you could help out with there too.
Okay, so, back to, so as far as the plan is concerned, obviously it's not going anywhere until the town board has to approve the plan.
Right.
It's not me. So you just, once that decision's made, you just have to let me know. I'll amend the plans. What I would just do, and we talked about this, I think, at our meeting with the health department, I wouldn't necessarily change the plan, I would just create, okay, this is gonna be phase 1, and maybe you just do phase 1. That way this other part's still approved if Trudeau wants to do it later or
John
whatever. John Boyd, geez.
Yep.
You have the wrong Canadian. Yeah, sorry, thank you. So it would just be a phase.
Like I said, I talked to him a week ago and he didn't look like he was walking away from it.
Yeah,
So,
no.
it had been a while. It had been about 7-8 months
Yeah.
to get us to this part. So I just wanted to make sure he was still willing to perform the work
Yeah.
and do it in kind service, and he still was. So
Okay.
I don't see how we can get it any cheaper done up there without it getting done for free. The labor getting done for free. So
You
that's
were
it.
saying, Rich, earlier about the piping. You get an estimate on one type of piping and another pipe. Do you recommend, is there one that's significantly better than the other? Yes, you might pay a little more for it, but
Right.
it's gonna be a lot better piping.
That's a good question, and, the thing is, as many engineers there are, you're gonna get as many different opinions, to be honest with you. For the longest time, PVC was not a proven product, right? Started basically in the 70s. Town of just locally here, Town of Plattsburgh would touch it. Yeah, we're not gonna do that, not gonna do it. It's come a long way, today's really proven itself. I think that it's perfectly fine. You know, a lot of the selection is also based on what water departments are used to dealing with, right? You know, I'm used to dealing with ductile iron, and you know, I don't want to deal with these saddles for services and things like that. You know, but I mean, so no, I don't think there's any longevity difference. You know, there's a little bit more. You know, you got to put your tracer wires in and your tape over the wire, plastic, right? Because otherwise you can't find it again. Transite, right?
Which adds to the cost.
Nobody used tracer wires, and also hence you can't find your mains half the time. But no, I mean, the details are a little different. You know, so you would probably, like, what I like to do, say for instance with hydrants, I'll use a ductile anchoring tee and a ductile extension on hydrants. But the main line be plastic.
Okay.
You know, so that's the type of thing that we do when we design with plastic.
Thank you.
Sure.
Like coming up Macy Lane right now, what type of pipe would you know, Ron, what that is?
That can be, we can bid that either way. Let's see what we put on here.
I was wondering what was existing there now.
Oh, that's a 4-inch transit, I believe.
Okay.
According to all the record drawings
Yeah.
I could find.
It was
4-inch
supposed to be
transit.
6, but
Yeah.
it was length.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 6.
That was
The
a-
approved one was 6.
Yeah.
It was a field change.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, right.
Way before my
And it was
time.
supposed to have been a completed loop when it was
Yeah.
put in
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, right, right.
Oh, I got
That-
the, I
No,
got
I
the-
know, you showed
I've
them.
got
I
the
saw-
paperwork, yeah.
But that's why, like in these projects, we have oversight by the engineer to make sure that it is done by.
Well, and that was all private, you know, they
Yeah.
did whatever pretty much they wanted to back then.
I'm sorry, you did.
No, I get, if I remember correct, what you're saying, you got the main line and you got the line that goes to the shut off. Will the shut offs be checked to see if they're totally open? Because we've already, the house next to us, when they complained about their water, they came and checked, found out the shut off was half turned off anyways. And they had to replace it. The other thing is, from there into the house is the owner's.
That's correct.
How come the water meters in the house that they had to hook into every one of those houses, the water meter is in the house.
Correct.
Yeah, that's where they put them.
That's what
Yeah, so it's in my
basement.
portion of the line,
Town still
Yep.
owns it.
they just own the meter.
They
That's
just
correct.
on the meter.
But yet I'm responsible for that line to the meter,
Yes.
back to the shut off. Okay.
Yep.
I
Like that
figured,
everywhere.
I figured you were gonna say it, but I just wanna hear
Yeah,
it.
that's okay.
No, because it's less expensive to put a meter in the basement than it is to put a vault in.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like, but it's been like this with meters in houses for,
What's
ever
a
since they
vault?
started putting meters in. I mean,
Concrete thing in the ground with a meter
It
on it.
gets it below
It's
the
a meter
4 foot
pit,
frost
usually
level.
plastic now.
So that's
Yeah.
what we're gonna have.
Cause they don't even come in the house, they read it remotely.
Depending on your trailer, how new it is, I think yours is a newer one, and depending on how it's set up and how much room you have underneath that.
I got a lot of room.
It's got to be heated. They don't want it to freeze.
Yeah, it's gotta be, so underneath, you know, you got the air gap, right, so you got your
Well, I
flat,
got
and then you
the-
gotta make sure it's insulated and all that.
whatever you wanna call it, the skirting,
Yeah,
it's about 2 inches thick.
Right.
And it's weighed down to the ground,
Yeah.
so there's no air getting into it. I haven't froze yet,
I was
That's
just
true.
gonna say, as long as you don't have problems with freezing
no.
with your water line.
But that's a
All I
decision,
have is problem with the water.
right.
so, but that's a decision that
Somebody's got to look at eventually and say, okay, here's,
We recommend
How it gets set
either
up.
this one or this one to you. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a recommendation as part of the project.
any other questions I can answer for you guys?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Okay. Anytime. In fact, I'm glad you finally got to come up here.
I'm glad you finally
Any-
came up because, like I said,
Anytime.
you know,
Like I said, it's particularly in the summers.
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the winter.
well, I got my camp closed.
Gotta close it sooner or later.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, he's
closed.
got to do it up and back
Yeah,
instead of
so,
staying here for the weekend.
I mean, I can leave this here if you want.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
nice
so-
if you could. That way-
Again, these are still all labeled as preliminary plans.
That's what I was gonna say.
Even though they're pretty close to final. I mean, it's just gonna be.
Yeah, other than like we were talking about, pipe.
We're gonna
What
do
kind of
that.
I wanna
pipe
look
we
at the
use
reason.
and whatever.
Well, I'll just leave it. Tell you what,
Yeah,
I'll give you a big
I'll send
check.
it over
Here's a
here.
big check.
I'll send it over there.
He wants to see that.
Right, it's, right.
Oh, this is Macy Lane.
Yeah, the pages are out of order, but the whole set's there. You
Show
should
you on that
through it.
map.
So,
I met with Gary.
good. So we're going, so yeah, down there by herself.
Yep, there's the thing.
See that one?
And it jump sides, because we gotta keep the existing water line in service.
Okay,
Right,
so
we-
you're gonna come over to the other side.
We're gonna have
of the road.
to, otherwise we're gonna damage that main, and everybody's gonna be out of water.
There's a fire hydrant on Richardson Avenue too.
No, this is Macy Lane right now.
Yeah, but there is one down, yeah, and Rickson, the other.
Oh.
Is that Mason?
And Mason, yeah, yeah, so, okay.
So,
I believe this is on
So
your
the
Oh.
Don't forget that.
backside of the P should be,
That is,
No,
not,
that's
that's
mine.
yours, I
Yeah.
believe.
Trying to get
You
your
can-
backside.
all right. Oh, that was from Reggie, yeah, he wanted me to read that, so.
late evening when everyone's home, it's a matter of opinion. It's so slow.
Keep me awake.
Okay, so
Thank you
that's
very much, appreciate it. Very
My pleasure, man.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You do?
This is up to the corner of Gorman.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Any questions that might come up later, give me a call.
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
get a
I'll take
conference.
picture of it.
And
Take it
I
with
think
you.
we're still legal as long as we're all here in the meeting.
I think that
Somebody
map-
come in, as long as we put them on the agenda.
Yeah, but I think that
As a
map
guest
Mike
speaker.
has is a smaller version of this.
Oh, I can do, yeah.
And he says
You
it's
know, I
public
have-
knowledge, so you should be able to
We
get
do
it
it.
one
Well,
right
just-
here.
I'm just figuring to get
You know what?
So this is the front road.
Yeah.
I don't
My
know, I
understanding
live back
is
here.
that we can have, petitioners or.
And
Yeah, we
then
can.
here
Come in
is
and
the loop
they'll say you trip up.
where it
Yeah,
stops.
But I do appreciate.
It depends
you
on what
doing
the
it.
topic,
House,
what it
the
is.
yellow house, I live over here.
It's my opinion. it's-
I'm not even on the map. 'cause
All the time.
It was. I think everybody was a little bit enlightened by what
This
was
is
going
the,
on.
So we heard the same thing.
That's the connector that
We have a couple
yeah.
All right.
communications that I
Well,
had.
I'll let you guys do everything, the rest of the pile.
Yeah.
One quick,
Thank you.
I got one
All
quick
right,
question.
You bet, yeah.
The dark black line is the new proposed.
That's correct.
Good.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just looking what my yard would be trashed, or not trashed now.
There you
See, I
go.
got heating tape on my stuff already.
Oh, there you go, okay. Because that's the worst thing with trailers.
This
is
Safe
underneath.
travels around.
This
If I don't see you, have a good
This
Christmas.
takes
There
me
you go.
right here to Gorman's house.
All right, thank you, everyone.
I'm sure.
Have a good night.
Right by
You too.
Gorman's
Have a good
house.
Christmas.
You too.
These all say draft on them, so we don't get confused. Cause none, all of this is still in the drafting stage. But it's pretty cool. I might have just gave the names out wrong, but hopefully not. Vern, what one do you got? You got monkeys?
No, I got Reg.
Give me that one. Just cause I wanna put Mike's in his, box after.
Okay, good.
Otherwise, everybody don't get the same stuff. So basically, his big map, this is it. I wanna make sure you guys all have copies of it. And when you see me ruffling around here, when Ron was here, I had the damn maps for all the Macy Lane too. I must, when I picked the file up, they must have stayed in. But
Now that
still got
Mike,
it off of the big map, but I want you to go reference it right here.
that map that Mike has over there, is that
I
a
have this
smaller
thing set
version
up
of
for
this
Rick
big
and
one?
I'll get that all to you.
Okay.
No, that's Rickson Avenue.
That's Rickson, right?
You
I've got Rickson and I've got,
Rickson.
Yeah.
Now,
You
can-
wanna
Yeah, they're
see,
both Rickson.
here,
can
Mike,
public get a copy of them, seeing that they're, he said it's public knowledge.
Oh,
Is that?
Can we
I've
get a
got
copy of those maps there?
okay, to give it to them.
What?
Just a tax map.
The tax map?
Yeah.
because I've got this here, this is.
Here, Mike.
They get
Here, see, it's just tax map, that's all it is. Is that what you want? Yeah. Yeah, that's all it is.
You're not gonna need that anymore?
No,
Don't want?
no, I've got nothing.
Actually, I did time and I went out and called them right away, cause it was 12188. And the bill
So-
was 128.
Ron, it can explain this much better than I, but basically that's what we're doing, is replacing that 4-inch pipe with the 8. And then we're finishing that P in the backside. This gets into the elevations naturally because we gotta have that for the county stuff. This thing's ready to go if we agree to it and the county signs off on it, and that's where it will be going next. Because I figured it would make good sense to have the county approve it before we went back and decided whether we wanted it.
Do you know when the county's gonna sign off on it, or approximately?
The Works and Ave, if we go the way that one is right now, I believe that's all they need to know is where those other two septics are. This one here, it took them, I'd say about 3 weeks to get to the point where they're ready to approve it. There was a couple little things. That was one of the things that the county wanted to know is where the septics were. They're gonna wanna know the same thing down here. To make sure that we're not interfering with the septic
Here,
systems.
and 386 feet here, all the rest are hooking into the 6-inch lines that
The long and the short of it, is we're getting,
4-inch line
there's
is
still a
here.
lot of work to
Can't.
do.
Because we're gonna replace that section. Yeah, it's actually gonna be new line coming on the opposite side of the road, all the way down.
And I don't think
hooking into
there's
the
any
6-inch
question
line
on
here. It comes around
this
here to
plan?
the loop, stops.
as far as the setup and what we're doing down there.
Good.
Let's see, 1, 2,
So who is
3,
he
4,
then,
5,
Ron
6.
LaBerge?
It'd be roughly right
Is
in
it
here.
Ron LaBerge?
It'll
Yeah.
come back into here and hook into here. Right where that is.
So
Well, let's get some
the
answers.
next thing I'll wait to get you guys will be from Ron to get a new ballpark on both projects. From what I understand, what I knew, we have plenty of funding to do both of those.
I'll tell you what I'd like to see, and I don't even know if it's a possibility or not. I would like to know approximately, and I'm not holding anybody to the total amount, what the pipe is going to approximately cost us to do the Trombley work.
Yeah, and that's what
I mean, I'd like to know that before I'm feeling comfortable to say, all right, do it. Because all of a sudden, if we get hit with a outrageous bill,
Correct.
is it worth it where we can just go down and dead end it and be done?
Right.
But-
Well, we'd have to get a contractor estimate for
Right.
straight down Rickson.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this, that if we don't have the funding to pay for the pipe, you're not gonna have the funding to pay for the pipe and the excavation
Right.
just for even Rickson, because the excavation is the money. It's, from what I'm being told, he's gonna save 2/3 of the cost of the project by doing the excavation work. So that tells me that 1/3 of it was the engineering and the cost of the materials. But I don't know for a living, so we'll
Could I
get
just
those.
add to what you said, Vern? What I'd kind of like is a soil sample test done on Rickson Avenue before we proceed actually to seed the soil over there, because that could explode, possibly, I'm using the word possibly, explode the cost of the project.
Well, I think what we should do there, at least, if nothing, is whoever's gonna do the contracting work, find out if they can do it, and it's not a big problem, or if it's a possibility that it's going to be a big problem, or it could be, then I'll agree with you on that too.
But the other thing you gotta look at too is it's normally not done unless you believe you're gonna run into something, because it's all extra expenditures to the project. And if they find anything, they're gonna stop right there anyways. So if you're excavating or getting rid of the material that's excavated out of the hole, what are you gonna have? 8, 9 shovels full out of a backhoe? You know what I mean? That you're gonna have to haul away. So is that worth the cost of whatever the drilling is and the study for, I guess I could talk to ADEA and find out, because he's who we usually use here for our soil reads. He's the one that did it for the splash pad out there and all that stuff. I can check with him and get a cost analysis to see what it would be. And Jim is, either one of them, they're pretty good, and he will tell you.
Because I mean,
I
even
think it's
on
worth it, or I don't think it's worth it.
the splash pad. He even did one for the splash pad, projected splash pad down there.
Well, what he
They
did
did
was,
an analysis, I
he-
looked at the report.
yeah, he did the analysis, but because we needed to put a sand filter in to get rid of the water. So he needed to know how the drainage was gonna work and how the, just like for a septic system. And of course, they do a,
The old
Gee.
perk test.
they do a perk test, but they also do a geological read of the soil to make sure, hey, you ain't got a truck in 10,000 loads of sand here, you know, to make it work.
Because it's all clay.
Or the opposite, you got all sand, and then you gotta put the clay in to hold it back a little bit so it don't go too fast. But those, you know,
And just a couple of the real quick issues relative to Brixton is this. There's a local law for the Morrisonville Water District that the people on Rixon, and if we went with the Trombley project, would have to be aware of this local law, which sets out their payment for being out-of-district users. And the local law, here's a copy of it actually, of that local law. And I mean, it's something that could be relevant,
well,
to let them know is what I need.
well, yeah, well, basically, it's gonna be up to the, that would be up to the board. They're gonna be out-of-district users. So, we are gonna have to get them water. We are gonna have to approve a local law to have out-of-district users on it. In agreements, if we do the Rixon Ave, and that's what we're trying to include here, they would be consolidated into the Morrisville Water
Yeah.
District. But in the interim, because they're not in a district, and we're kind of creating a
Sure.
district, the easiest fix for it, rather than doing a Rixon Ave water district and then consolidate, which is gonna cost us more money, because then we're gonna have that all done by somebody like Bill Ryan or somebody that does water districts. The easiest way to go about it is exactly that, and that's what the discussion was.
There's actually the requirement right here for a public hearing on that.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I have.
Yeah.
on it.
That's the only way you could do it. Feasibly make it work. Because otherwise you're gonna spend, you know, 15, 20,000, 30,000 on creating a water district. And just delete the water district and then have consolidated in anyways.
Kevin, at what point should we have a public hearing? What would you say? Like for Rixon and the other up there?
Well, even the agreements, what I have preliminarily done is agreements that the residents will sign. If you want the water line up there, you'll sign an agreement saying that you understand that we're putting in a water line for the residents of Rixon Avenue, that you will be an out-of-district user until such time as we can consolidate you into the Morrisville Water District. And that makes the backside of it much easier. Then when we consolidate them in, the paperwork's already done. You don't know that going into it before we put a shovel in the ground, you know what I'm saying? I guess to answer your question, I can't really go to his house and tell him to sign this without showing him exactly what we're gonna do. So the first part of that is getting a approved engineering that the county is agreeable with, this board's agreeable with, and at that time, that's when I would go up there to get the agreement.
And I really agree with you on that, Kevin, but if we could we get to Rixon Avenue, we break it up into 2 phases. Do Rixon Avenue first, then we got enough money left over, we'll go over and do Trombley, possibly.
I know you keep saying that, Reg, but we'll get some numbers together.
Okay, that's good.
And what I'm telling you is, from what I'm being told, it's gonna cost 2/3 more construction costs to the project.
Okay, we'll look at the numbers, great.
Without
Okay.
them doing it. Even with us paying for the pipe and him doing all the work for everything, it's still 2/3 less than,
See, I didn't know he
hiring-
was doing all the work for everything. until
well,
today.
yeah,
whole
neither
system.
did
That
Mr.
makes a
Coolidge,
big
you know,
difference.
when
I
I
mean,
talked to him, and then.
That's a
when-
lot of machine man hours that,
That's why he said,
We
he
ain't
goes,
gotta
I'm
pay
booked
for.
up until
It's gonna save us a
June,
lot of
when I
money.
talked to him the other day, and I wanted to make sure he was still good. And he goes, I will tell you this, I'm booked up until June of next year before I could start working on that project. And I said, okay. I mean,
how long does he figure to be completed?
I can ask him that. I don't install water lines that size. I don't know what it would take him, how long it would take him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, really, it's not a big deal, but I would like to know, you know, where maybe we can check with other contractors and, oh no, well, we can do it, you know, for X number of dollars and have it done by whenever.
I would say this, that in the agreement, that we should probably put a timeline.
Yes.
I mean, most state contracts say,
Start
you
and
get it
finish.
done within this time, they give bonuses if you get done early, but you just want it done within this time. I wouldn't leave it open-ended that he works on it on his.
When he's free
leaves
time.
here, Yeah, and
No, me
then
neither.
we're doing this
No.
for the next 4
When
years.
his starting point comes, he starts
No, I
and
agree
he
with you.
continues.
We
Not
gotta have some
Take 2
kinda-
weeks off because he's gotta go.
Yeah,
So
Do
it's
3
probably gonna
driveways.
do both sides, Rickson and his, or?
right, and I don't have it in writing, okay? This is all verbally. So until I have it in writing, that's why I'm hesitant to go up to your house or Bonnie's or to Charlotte's and say, okay, I need you to sign this because this is what we're doing. Because I can't tell them we're doing that until I have all the paper in front of me. But the first part of it is what we're doing right now, the engineering. And the preliminary engineering.
What I heard
like-
was that
like I
he
said.
was just wanting to do his side and hell with us.
No.
No,
That's
I
not.
never heard that.
That's what's coming from Junior.
No, that's wrong.
No.
Junior's not right.
no,
You heard the man tonight,
Yeah.
standing here.
The opposite way.
He's
if
doing the
more.
whole thing.
no, he's willing to, at this time.
Was that Mr. Barco? No.
No, that's the guy that
Engineering.
does all the plans, the engineer.
Oh, okay. Cause I never met those people behind me, so
No.
I don't know what they look like, you know?
But like I say, once I get all the agreements hammered out and everything's good, and this board is agreeable to it, that's when I'll go up and see you guys, and then we'll move forward even with this. Because there's no sense to doing this even until we know we're going to the other project. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
And that's all I'm doing right now, is getting everything prepared for it, if that makes sense.
See, I can get funding from my, from JCEO to hook me up. I can get, you know, certain avenues for me, but I just want it done.
I know, and I,
I'm not being a pain in the ass, but
I should quote some of the people that have been down here from up there. and
But I can't believe I'm the only one from Rickson Avenue here, sitting here.
Yeah.
You know, they're great because they have got no good water, and they're,
Well, you're the only one tonight, but they've been down here. They've been to my office, yes.
but,
Not all of them, but most of them.
but anyways, I have to run, cause I'm running out of oxygen.
Oh, well, don't do that.
One other question, the other day, when they had that little snowstorm,
Yep,
we had the snowplow come down my Rickson Avenue.
yep.
That poor fella had to back all the way from Rickson Avenue, all the way back to Mason Street again. He couldn't turn around.
Yep. So that goes back to the other issue. And that's sitting on the code enforcement's desk right now, so that's gonna be taken care of.
Yeah. I feel bad for that guy, you know? He comes down and plows that and you can't turn around.
No,
But anyways.
no, I think we've given sufficient time.
Well,
All summer.
we'll see how things go. I want to see,
So,
you know, you might even see me out by Bonnie's there having one of those hot tubs.
well, thanks for coming down tonight.
Yeah,
I
she's
appreciate it.
got 2 of them out there. Plus 5 cars in front, 2 cars behind there, another van behind her trailer, plus 3 flatbeds on the other side.
Yeah. No, I've been up there several times.
Sounds like a party.
It's a junkyard.
Okay,
That's what
so.
it is. It's a
moving
junkyard.
along.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
See ya. So, moving along, I went up and checked the garage floor. There's a couple of issues with that. They seem to have fixed them.
Are they done completely?
I haven't heard from Josh yet. Josh wanted to get a hold of me after he was done, and I went up and looked at it. And he's gonna contact me, I know he's busy as everybody else, but he's supposed to contact me and so we can know, or he can know whether we're satisfied with the work that he did.
Are you, Mike?
Pretty satisfied. Of course, we've got a bad door bottom that it's being ordered now. And that's, well, the center door, that's door number 2, and but the other, number 1 is pretty much perfect. I've got new seals. The trouble is, the seal's been worn out for so many years, when the door closes.
Yeah.
I've had one installed on door number 3, and that it's closed up now. Yes, they had to do a little bit of grinding, where they had some high spots, and then they stopped. But it is sealed real well.
And they add a little down pressure to the door to help
Yeah.
it squash the gasket a little bit more.
I don't really like to see the added down pressure of the door,
Right,
but, I mean, that's what it's there for, to seal it.
right. And I don't want to speak for you, but when you spoke to him, he did say that if he needed to, he'd come back in the spring and
If,
grind a
yeah,
little bit more. And
whatever happens, but
he just had, what door is that, the middle one? Is that 3?
no, door number 2 is the middle
That's
one,
2 there?
the new
I don't
panel
know what
for it.
you name your door. Put numbers on it for me on the inside.
There is.
All right, so anyways, that one was perfect. I mean, dead perfect.
That'd be number 1 where you're coming.
Okay, the next 2 over,
Yeah.
if you're looking out towards the road, the next 2 over, that middle one was
Yeah.
terrible. And the end one, there was still an area there that still had daylight underneath it. After they got done re-leveling everything and grinding it did come out good. It was.
Yeah.
I was surprised when I got up there. I was like, it's a good thing the cement was.
Now, my
hadn't
next
been
question
cured
was this the temporary fix quote we wanted to do?
Yeah,
Because Mr. Loire was saying that could also be a permanent
It could.
fix.
and that
It
depends
is pretty
on.
much a permanent as
Yes.
far as I'm concerned.
And that depends on who takes the bid. Because the problem with it, and we can bid it that way, we can change it. They won't warranty any of that. Whoever takes the bid on doing the rest of the flooring in there and the drainage, and eventually the oil water separator, which will be set with the drainage to be received by an oil water separator. Mike and I talked about that the other day and putting the tank outside. That way it doesn't take up all this room inside.
Yeah, I mean,
the garage.
We're pretty well cramped. I don't think so, but man, them tandems are,
We talked about
you know,
putting just the tank in versus the filtration system. The filtration system is more right off the bat, but it's cost savings because your water filters out into a leach at the end, just like your septic, and you never have to do anything. If we put in just the oil water separator, it holds about 1,000, and then you put the external tank, probably holds another, you could put about even a 1,500 or whatever you want in there. When that tank fills, you got to get it pumped. And so depending on who you hire, what septic company you hire to come in and pump it, you're looking at $475 probably to empty that tank every time it's got to be filled. I'm not quite sure how much water they drip off, but from what Mike was saying, they used to take an hour to squeegee it sometimes in the morning.
oh yeah.
So the problem that I see looking
Easy.
forward is if we're pumping a tank out, say once a month even, that could be some added
Could be costly.
If we do the back filtration system where they gotta back flush them. DEC does keep records on that. So you need a log as to when it has been back flushed. There's fines if you don't do it, because they come in and they check your log at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, but at least once a year. It's not hard to do. I mean, if we show you how to do it, I'm pretty sure that they can say, okay, we're looking at the pressures on the gauges, it's time, just like a pool, it's time to back flush it and log it. That's the big thing, because if you did it and you didn't log it, it didn't get done. It didn't get done, you know, and that's when you end up with the issues with the log and the DC and fine. So I know at the fire station they didn't want to worry about that, so they just put it into an outside tank and they get it pumped whenever. Once a year, we usually hire.
Yeah, but the fire station's
company, yeah,
different.
we'll say.
You could go 3 weeks without a truck being out in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
Them guys could go every day for 3 weeks with a truck being out in the winter.
Exactly, and then melting
Big
off.
difference.
And then we've got no place to wash them or clean them, so
Yeah.
then they turn to complete rot, so.
So, again, I would recommend that we put the filtration system in with the leach, and then when it's done, in 25 years, you might have to add another line to the leach field, but
Yeah.
other than that, you're in pretty good shape. But the records will have to be maintained. It's a little bit more money for the filtration system up front, that's all. But it's a much better system. That's the one I like to see.
Do you think Mr. Lawyer will put a bid in on the other, or is he capable?
I actually, I think he will. I really do.
I mean, 'cause that would be
I've
good.
already gotten to him to hope that he gets up there in June or July to do the back parking lot,
There's,
you know, so.
the
Hate to
word
lose
finally
it.
got out. For some reason, I don't know why it didn't when we put it out to bid, because it was in the paper for 30 days. We had to hold on to it for 30 days. And we only did get the one that first time. But I think through word of mouth now, that we'll get some bids this time, rather than just one.
That's good.
So, like always, I'll make sure on request for quote that, you know, we can refuse any and all bids as always. That way we always have that option like we did this one. If it gets too crazy with cost. But, we transferred some money over out of the general fund this year to take care of that issue up there, so.
Good.
I don't think we'll have a problem with it. And I transferred,
That's
we
really nice to see them
transferred
roads
enough
like that.
Save on
to
blankets.
take care of it, either way. So
Save on
that'll
blankets.
be another,
It's really different.
hopefully not, but another 2 or 3 month, 4 month project, getting all that done, and the engineering is done, so we're ahead of the game on that. We'll rebid it out. If you guys are still good with that, we held off naturally when you wanted us to last fall. But we'll rebid that out probably, I'm thinking around February or March. That way we can get into the bid cycle before all the contractors are tied up for the summer and they're already booking.
And
up
another
now.
thing we better
I don't
start
wanna-
thinking
I don't wanna
about,
wait too late.
and before we get told we're gonna do it, is we better start looking into a salt shed pretty soon. Because it's gonna get thrown on our lap.
And then we're
It
gonna,
will be done, and it will be done by this time or else.
and
Don't those
unfortunately,
have to be done by the state specifications, so you really don't get a lot of choice, do you?
I don't know,
No,
Mike would
they're,
know more about that than I would. I don't.
they're
I
pretty
know,
much
but-
they're nothing like I thought they were gonna be when I seen them. They're basically, they look like a damn,
Overall.
yeah, you remember the blow-up balloons we had for the
Yeah,
gymnasiums?
Yeah,
That's all I can picture. I mean,
The bubbles, they were called.
Yeah, the sidewalls are solid up to a certain height.
Yeah.
And then it just makes a dome over the top,
Yeah,
and it
it was-
looks like a blowed up building.
I was
but
at the Town of
tin.
Schuyler today, and I actually
Yeah.
got Elton's looking at
I
it.
was like, and I can't believe that these are like 1.2, 1.3 to 2.4, depending on how big you want.
But they're big. I mean, that
Oh,
one
yeah.
up there, I mean, I don't know how big you guys gotta
Um,
go. That one at Town of Schuyler,
From what I
that's
understand,
big.
from what I understand, that's the
Prue's
standard
got one
now.
too. Prue was one of the first
So
ones.
Yeah.
we're gonna have to. I brought that up
Sarah
January.
Hack's even got one.
January of 20, and we looked at it, and I had, I think ADEA, and it was a little bit higher than Laberge was when we got the engineering done for that. I don't even know what it'll cost now, cause that was 2 years ago. We should've did it then. But yeah, my understanding is the grant is still active. It's down to about 500,000 now. But
Where would you put it, Mike? Right where the salt pile is, you think?
Yeah, would have to put it, like as you go in, the pile would be here, you'd have to put it on the back side of it. You know, of course, we'll just move that pile into it.
So,
Yeah.
um,
That'd be the only good place right now,
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
because everything else is pretty well tore up. You know,
Yeah.
alright,
over the years.
because of the holidays, this is gonna go quick. So I just kinda like to know that everybody's on board with me dropping the RFQ out for probably the beginning of February, end of January. I'll contact Barton or Judith because they send it all out for us and do it. It's gonna be probably expensive again. But then they'll classify them and they'll rate them and they'll give us what they think the top choice is, breakdown. So, you know, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever. We didn't have to worry about it last time, we only got one. But, but hopefully that don't happen this time. So, if you guys are good with that, I'm gonna contact them so that we're not behind the 8 ball because the holidays are gonna screw up this month, the rest of this month and the first part of January. You agree?
Okay.
Yep, I'm fine with it.
Oh, so I'll move forward with that garage floor. I guess that brings us to the copies of these. This is the Dasney. I just got this and it's all approved. So we got the $125,000 for that splash pad. That project's 100% set.
Perfect.
That only took, counting Rick, 6 years? 5, 6 years? So, yeah, so that's about $125,000 right now. The last one is the CDBG, which may be able to help that gentleman even with his water. On Rickson Ave. So the CDBG, which is that's Burns. So that is the agreement, that's solidified. $250,000 will be spent by the town through the CDBG grant to low to moderate income homes that need improvements. It could be roofs, it could be help with the kitchens, it could be help with a well or water. I know that if he qualifies, they will take care of that service line because they're actually putting a whole well in for somebody under some of this program money. So I might go out on a limb and say that those people that really need the help up there can get the help when.
Great.
That just fell into our laps to work out perfect. The stars were in alignment. So that could help us with that project there too. Or those residents up there because we can't. This is the one time we get to help them on their own property. Okay. So did anybody have any other
That's
subjects they wanted to bring
grant
up?
for the splash pad.
Oh, okay, great.
Thank you.
Yep, got that this morning, so it's 100% ours. Thanks to Liz, and thanks to Jim from ADA. They did a ton of work on that project to get that grant approved for me. Yeah, other than that,
And I do, Kevin, just very
Yep.
briefly.
no, we're all.
Richard, I think you mentioned something about the signs for entering the town that we were gonna put up.
Oh, the no parking in the wintertime?
Sure.
Yeah.
Did we ever get anywhere, Kevin,
Okay, so
on that? Or-
We can proceed on that, aren't we?
What's that?
Waiting for the state on that, aren't we?
Well, we gotta get approval, okay? It's here, I haven't forgot about it. There's so much that I have to do right now. Yeah, we would have to have an agreement with the state on state roads in the town. I'm pretty sure after talking to Carl Weiss that we're pretty good with the county, that they would sign up. But I need it in writing. And then what we would do is introduce a local law. There's multiple, and I brought them up last time, there's multiple ways that you can build this sign. You know, this one's 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. You know, November 1st through April 30th. No parking on the side of the road for plowing reasons. If you do, then they can tow it, and it's at the owner's expense. I've got no problem, you know, working on this, but I'm just trying to catch up with all this. So it's there. Like I told Heather, like what I told her about hers. It's a good idea up there at Pocket Hill. It's just I gotta have the time to work on it, and I can't do it.
In my last item
Yep.
is this.
Uh-huh.
I received a call from a town resident, and he wants to go on record. He asked me to bring it up, that's why I'm bringing it up. His name is Ricky White, and his concern was this. And Howard, it goes back to when we had trouble in the playground, and there was some tree cutting going on there. And he had mentioned at that time, a couple of years ago, about renting a lift to take care of that tree. So he apparently was concerned with the tree situation here where we had a lift to put the Christmas tree lights up. And his concern, I'm just relaying a message, is that the people who were on the lift were not certified to be on a lift. And he was concerned enough, he mentioned it to me, he asked me to bring it up, and I did. So now I brought it up, and
I believe we have an insurance policy. If you read into our insurance policy, anybody that's part of this town is covered, aren't they?
Okay.
The employees are covered, and any volunteers are covered.
Yes.
It was brought up, and
Because I've done work
And-
for the town before, and I've had to look into insurance, and they said, you are covered.
Yeah, and, you know, as far as the town insurance, it's no different, like when Amos helped me do it that day. He's not a town employee, he's a volunteer service to do that job for the town, and we have all of our volunteers covered. It doesn't matter if they're in here working on a Christmas project or working on.
I mean, it's like when the three of us, last year the three of us were down on the ice rink.
Yeah.
If one of us would've went upside down, bang, smashed her head
Still
off,
covered.
you're covered.
it was brought up, that's why I brought it up. And
But as far as the
That's
lift
it.
operation, I am aerial certified and I am certified